Building your independent work system before back to school hits. Hey there, it's Jennifer from Positively Learning. I would love to hear how you're doing. Are you in back to school mode yet? Do you know what you're going to be teaching? Do you have your classroom keys? Let me know in the comments how you are doing. Over the last few weeks, we have been building out a tasks framework to create an independent work system for your classroom. We've talked about tasks with clear start, clear work, clear finish, visual schedules, finished bins. And last week, we talked about how to actually teach students to use it all. Today, I think we're in week 7. We're going to be finding out if everything that you've built is actually going to work, because today we're going to be running what I call the small group test. Can your classroom keep moving even if you pull a small group? Now, if you are just joining us for the first time, welcome. So glad that you found us. I do recommend hitting follow so you don't miss a single video or podcast episode, and also hitting pause and going back to the playlist called the Special Educator Summer Series and watching through those videos. They are very quick. Each video has one action step that's going to lead you up to this video. And then come on back when you are ready. Now, before we get started, I do want to share why we're doing this, why this matters so much to me. A few days ago, I got a very thoughtful comment, and I will admit it made me sad, made me feel bad when I read it, but that wasn't their intention. The comment was that this independent work system that I always talk about, it looks like just busy work, and can't we do better than that? I totally appreciated the comment because it reminded me that I probably haven't shared enough what this looked like in my own classroom and why I am so obsessed with this, why we're talking about this all summer long. Because if you picture students quietly completing random tasks while I was teaching another group, that was definitely not my classroom. So for my school day, I split my time between the inclusion classroom setting and resource room, often in the same hour. So I was coming and going. Students were constantly coming and going. I taught students on my caseload in the resource room. I taught students not on my caseload. I was doing reading intervention, math intervention, lots and lots of testing accommodations. Sometimes students would walk into the resource room independently holding a test. Sometimes students needed support coming into the resource room. Sometimes I would go collect students to bring to the resource room. Sometimes students didn't want to enter because they were frustrated before we even got started. It was a bit crazy. I wouldn't have it any other way. I loved it. I was running on adrenaline and caffeine every single day because it felt like I had this huge puzzle to solve. That is why I realized very quickly I needed to have a system in place that was consistent when nothing else was feeling consistent. I needed a way to keep learning going. Even if you're with students all day long, you have 8 hours of students. That doesn't mean you have 8 hours of instruction, because there's always going to be something going on. Related services, transitions, testing, bathroom breaks, behavior support, schedule changes. I refer to instruction as our learning windows, and those are opening and closing all day long. And I think they are so important. Even if you had a learning window, that doesn't mean your students are in it at the same time. Some students might be hungry, sleepy, frustrated about something, and they're not present for instruction. There is no way I would ever take a student's learning window and fill it up with busy work or have them sit in a holding pattern because I was helping someone else. So the comment made me sad that that was what it seemed like, because it definitely wasn't like that. Independent work to me was the learning. It wasn't what students were doing while they were waiting for learning to begin. Independent was what kept that learning moving. And that is why we're building the system, and why I think that today's lesson matters so much. Because today we're going to find out if your system can allow students to receive exactly what they need while all your other students are learning. Now, I think we know what success looks like, but I want to present this to you. Imagine it is a Wednesday morning in your classroom, and you have just pulled a small group. I don't know how many students are in your small group. I'm just going to say 3, which would be pretty small group. But say you have pulled 3 students to your small group area. Maybe it's a table. and you're going to do targeted instruction. Maybe they're working on a very similar IEP goal. You pull your chair over and you begin teaching. And then 30 seconds later, you just know it. A student across the room who's working independently looks up. You haven't even looked over there yet, but you know. And now you have a choice. Are you going to stay with your group, or are you going to get up and take care of that? Most teachers are going to get up because they know if they don't attend to that student, they know their students so well. They know this is going to not go away. This is going to become something majorly distracting for everybody in the classroom, something that you could easily just go take care of and then come back to your small group. So what I'm going to ask you to do today, what's going to measure our test, our today's test measures, is the question, can we stay in our chair? So here's how the test works. It's going to be very simple and very fast. I'd like you to sit down with 3 students. Substitute the number, whatever makes sense for you. And of course, if you're teaching ESY, great. If you're watching this during back to school or during the school year, great. You might not be. You might have to think about past students, future students. But what I would like you to think about is if you're pulling a small group, and I want you to think about teaching that small group for 5 uninterrupted minutes. And of course, you can adjust the time. But these uninterrupted minutes are real teaching. You're not supervising what's happening in the room. You're not circulating the room. You are just teaching. And while you're teaching, I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, can students start without me? Are your students in the classroom, not in your small group, are they beginning to get to work? Or are they waiting for permission? And if they are waiting, that's a start problem. Simple. Now, number 2, can students continue without you? So let's say your students didn't have a problem getting started, but they struggled whenever they hit some kind of uncertainty. What did they do? Did they immediately look up for you? Come find you? Come up to the small group table? If they stopped in question 2, that's going to be a continue problem. And then, of course, number 3, can your students finish without you? When they're done, do they know exactly what comes next? Or are they looking for you? Or maybe even getting up and wandering the room? If so, that is a finish problem. Start, continue, finish. If this sounds familiar, these are the same 3 breakdown points we talked about in the very first week of this series. Now, we're simply testing the system that you've built. Okay, so one more thing before you go run this test. This is not a pass or fail test. If your students don't start, that is information. If they stop halfway, that's information. And if the ending just kind of falls apart, that's information. If we can name it where the breakdown is happening, that means we can fix it. That is so much better than feeling like independent work isn't working, or it is more work to implement independent work than just to keep everybody together. Now, we have a couple of weeks left in the summer. Next week, we're going to come back and troubleshoot each one of these places. And then we're going to be putting it all back together for back to school. So your homework is very simple. You're going to run the test. 5 minutes, 3 students, stay in your chair, and then ask yourself, can your students start? Can they continue? Can they finish? And write down the first place your system breaks. That is the part we're going to fix together next week. If you are still building your independent work library, the Independent Work Club and the Task Box Club are here for you. The goal is not to join just to collect more activities. It's to build a classroom where learning keeps going because you are matching skills to what your students need, even when you're teaching someone else. All right, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to hit follow so you don't miss the podcast episode coming out this Friday. And of course, I'll be back next week. Let me know if you have any questions.